Arguably America's most famous bridge, the red-orange Golden Gate has spanned its namesake strait since 1937. When first completed, it was the longest and tallest suspension bridge on the planet, and its awesome size still wows modern visitors. Mount Rushmore, Keystone, South Dakota. The huge granite faces, each around 60 feet, 18 meters tall, would take more than a decade to complete. This photo is thought to have been captured circa 1940, a year before the great feat was finished. Mount Rushmore, Keystone, South Dakota. The four stone presidents of Mount Rushmore, George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Theodore Roosevelt, and Abraham Lincoln, have been watching over South Dakota's Black Hills region since they were completed in 1941. Cedar Point, Sandusky, Ohio. It's not all about white-knuckle rides, though. Roller coasters in the 150-year-old park sit alongside kitsch carousels and other kid-friendly attractions. Gateway Arch, St. Louis, Missouri. The Keystone was the final part of the arch to be lifted into place, and this photo shows the final stages of the monument's construction in 1965. Knott's Berry Farm, Buena Park, California. Knott's Berry Farm, a wholesome, family-friendly theme park just over 20 miles from LA, began life as a berry farm. Walter and Cordelia Knott, pictured, who purchased the land in the 1920s. A tribute to one of America's most formative presidents, the Lincoln Memorial was dedicated in 1922, more than 5 decades after his death. Standing at the far western edge of the National Mall, the famed memorial is characterized by grand marble columns and an enormous seated statue of Lincoln himself inside. A colorful amusement complex and neighborhood in New York City's Brooklyn, Coney Island has long been known for its roller coaster-filled theme parks, fast food stands, and broad sandy beach. Fremont Street, Las Vegas, Nevada. An iconic venue of the day was Boulder Club, pictured, a glittering casino that was one of the earliest spots to get a gambling license in the 1930s. It sadly burned down in 1956. Hollywood Sign, Los Angeles, California. The huge Hollywood sign, standing high in the Hollywood Hills, is a familiar sight to tourists and Angelenos. It didn't always look as it does today, though. Central Park, New York City, New York. There's a long history of model yacht racing in Central Park, too. In fact, the Central Park Model Yacht Club celebrated its 100th birthday back in 2016. Central Park, New York City, New York. Sprawling over a whopping 840 leafy acres, Central Park is known as the Big Apple's green lung for good reason. It officially opened back in 1876, and its wide grassy spaces, forested areas, and lakes had instant appeal with New Yorkers. Beyond its mighty bluffs and glacial valley, Yosemite is known for another thing, its giant sequoia. A top place to see these towering trees is the Mariposa Grove in the park's south. Disneyland, Anaheim, California. The park opened in 1955 to much applause, with the fairy tale Sleeping Beauty Castle the star attraction. The opening day didn't go quite as planned, though, since hundreds more visitors than expected poured through the park gates. Grand Canyon National Park, Arizona. Today, the canyon is peppered with scenic viewpoints, from the famous glass skywalk at the west rim to Mather Point in the south. Yellowstone National Park, Wyoming, Montana, and Idaho. Bear safety is a topic of much discussion in Yellowstone, given that the park is home to both black bears and grizzlies. Visitors are warned against encouraging bears towards their car, and are given strict guidelines for camping or hiking in bear country. Yellowstone National Park, Wyoming, Montana, and Idaho. This national park is one of the largest in the USA too, leaving plenty of room for its revered natural wonders. Yellowstone is the oldest site in the USA's national park system. Established in 1872, it takes over a great swathe of northwestern Wyoming and seeps into the states of Montana and Idaho too. Atlantic City Boardwalk, Atlantic City, New Jersey. The beach was, and is, as much of a draw as the boardwalk, especially during sticky summers. Atlantic City's rolling chairs became a popular way to travel the boardwalk from the 1880s. A marker of privilege and luxury, they were neat and compact, sometimes with ornate details and frilled umbrellas. They're still a common sight along the boardwalk, although the modern iterations are a far cry from the elegant people movers of the past. Atlantic City's beachside boardwalk has been a premier East Coast attraction since the 1870s, when the famous wooden pathway was first constructed. The spectacular beauty of Niagara Falls has attracted tourists for decades, and for many a trip aboard the iconic Maid of the Mist is an essential part of the trip. These enthusiastic visitors are pictured in 1859, only 4 years after the service was established. A woman inspects an electric bath at the Light Care Institute. The electric bath is probably a forerunner of the modern sunbed, although it was more likely used for medicinal reasons. Circa 1900. Jean Bauer walks with Adina Tac on 6th Avenue in New York, accompanied by John Mitchell, the Motorola engineer behind the phone. 1973. Built from wood because of wartime restrictions on the use of aluminum and concerns about weight, the aircraft was nicknamed the Spruce Goose by critics, although it was made almost entirely of birch. Walt Disney presented with a diploma of commendation from the National Academy of Fine Arts of Buenos Aires, Argentina. Mickey and Minnie Look On. 1933. The fad proved to have some staying power. They even produced pun-filled promotional video espousing the benefits of baby cages. 1940. Military aircraft fly over the Statue of Liberty, circa 1935. Captain Lawrence Oates tends to the ponies in their stables aboard the Terra Nova. December 1910. The weight benches, parallel bars and gymnastics rings soon became a magnet for athletes, acrobats, and famous bodybuilders. A farmer paints stripes on her cow to increase its visibility at night and prevent car accidents should it wander onto the road during blackout conditions. A Persian kitten takes a break from hunting rats in a specially made hammock aboard the sloop HMS Godavari. There was a time when washing your hair was seen as a perfectly acceptable excuse to decline an invitation out. It wasn't so much the washing that was taking up your time, but the drying. Sophia Loren giving Jane Mansfield the side eye is one of the most famous photos in history. Head measuring device for helmets, 1973.